Y ahorita igual necesito ordenar la pantalla, pero ahorita que acomode todo. Y si vienen del futuro, les recomiendo adelantar el video. O sea, si estás viendo esto pregrabado y no en vivo. Ok, muy bien. Te falta el otro en vivo nada más. Ahí está el otro en vivo. ¿Por qué no lo detecta esta madre? Selectors. Ah, todavía no lo encuentra. Bueno, ahorita vemos eso. Ahorita vemos eso. Select source. No. Bueno, vamos haciendo lo demás. Ahorita vemos eso.
The work more so than what happened with Demon Souls on the artistic vision, you could say. And look, I get it. Bloodborne does have that kind of an artistic interpretation to it that makes it Bloodborne. So if they were concerned that Bluepoint would, I mean, they kind of shinied up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Click R3, number 42, right on time. 9:15 on the dot, exactly as we planned it. Not at all 9 o'clock. No. This is 9:15 all along. Seeing things, Mandela effect, whatever else. It's always 9:15. Ryan's working hard. He's working hard right now for Let's Talk PlayStation tomorrow mornings. People need to check that out. He's going crazy over there, putting in the hours. Still has to edit. How you doing, Ryan?
Thank you, John. Thank you for airing out exactly what happened. At least, well, you used to be late a lot, and it would be to 9:30. I only need 9:15.
That's true.
Just so we're clear.
I was ready to.
Gracias por el like, Conrad.
You've been good. You've been good with it. So this one's on me. This one's on me.
Well, it's been a fun couple of weeks. So it's.
Por fin lo detectó.
Put the titles and stuff. Like Ryan will probably roll in with a ton of topics and it'll be a whole thing. But how'd everything go with you? You did Sons of Sparta. Did you go back to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
John, I told you my plan, right? So my plan was Sons of Sparta was kind of like an offshoot thing. Like that squeezed in because it was a shadow drop. Finished that. Got back to my Yote playthrough. Yote is wrapped. I'm actually like 5-ish bronze away from platinum, which ironically Legends just came out, so it fucked up my trophy percentage anyway. Although there is New Game Plus, so I would have had to do the whole game again to get full 100%. The point is, finish up the main story. I'm gonna get my platinum soon. With Yote though, I'm going back to Rebirth. Okay. I'm gonna. I don't know if I can make this full vouch and commitment to the audience, but I do have 2 weeks of a window here. I'm near the end of Rebirth, so I'm thinking I'm going to give you all very good news. Click R3 episode 42. Going back.
Okay, going back. Gotta get it done because they are in the polishing phase right now for part 3. And you're gonna be so mad if you see that trailer for part 3 because I have no idea how they don't spoil the game for you.
Bueno, listo. Listo. Solo falta poner el juego.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. We're back to it. I did. Well, someone around here did get a platinum trophy. Okay, since the last show.
I'm shocked.
Some of us did. Some of us get the platinum. Yeah,
I'm genuinely shocked.
I know, for a Neo game too.
Yeah, well, I like looked
Ahí
at
está.
the trophy guide.
Falta el audio, ¿verdad? No escucho nada. Debe de haber.
Extra stuff. You really did all that extra shit.
I did.
That's so unlike you.
55 or 56 hours. Some people say it took 90 hours. I'm like, how did it take 90 hours? Although I didn't have as much trouble with this game as I thought I would. I mean, it was. I picture this being a really difficult game. It was difficult at times, but I didn't. Some of the bosses you go a few times against, and it's like, okay, I got it, and I take care of it. It felt very Elden Ring-like versus other, say, FromSoft Souls games to where it's open, you can almost over-level yourself at times, and just like, well, you have two different forms. So I was the ninja form 80% of the time, and did not have much trouble against the bosses. I would be able to sneak behind them, basically, like dodge around behind them, and then you crit every time you hit them back.
Ok.
Some of them just melted if I was able to get behind them, and yeah.
Como que el sonido se va.
Pretty well. Then the trophy list was like find all these things on the map, but it marks them for you after a certain amount of time, and then you can teleport everywhere. There's like 140 fast travel spots in the game. So.
Okay.
It was quick. It went quick.
But that's what it takes for you. You have to, one, like, really love the game, and then two, like...
No, ¿qué? ¿Francés? ¿Por qué?
I'm borderline shocked that you, like, did that much extra shit.
I think
You just don't do it.
it's about the same. I'd say it's almost the same amount of time as Yote.
Well, I think Yote is showing, if the tracker counts properly for me right now, it is showing... No, mine hasn't updated in, like, a week.
Yeah,
So
at the here's that PS5 dashboard cut like timer. It doesn't line up to what it says in the game those times.
I've looked into it before. It's very accurate up to a point, and then at some point, like, it just there's like a fork in the...
Ay, me caga que hagan esta mamada los juegos de...
It says right now it's 47 hours.
Ok, ya entendí.
Before, I think, 2 sessions I did. So I think I'm in the 50-ish range, and I think that's
Ok.
what trophy guys were saying for that anyway. So it's...
Ok, ultra wide.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's similar to Neo 3 and stuff. But yeah, I got them the game and I looked and I was like, wow, we're gonna have like 5 trophies.
Well, but see, this is the thing though. I got 50 hours for a platinum in Yote or Neo 3. I think it says like 70 to 80 hours for Reaper. I'm not even fucking close to being done. Like,
yeah,
well,
I know people who
story.
spent like 150 hours trying to platinum that game.
Yeah. I mean, for story, I will say the one thing I didn't touch at all in Reaper
Que da igual
was
entonces.
exactly, like, boss simulations. Or none of the combat. I like left all of it. Because I'm like, let me just level up and then I'll just like steamroll.
You need to come back to do that.
So not weird about those. But I do want to ask John, are you marathon first week? Yeah.
Yep. I did play Marathon actually. I can tell you how many hours I played in a second when I turn this on. But I did play Marathon actually. I've been playing a few nights now. I played with Nate and NVG, and then in some cases I just decided to go ahead and play just by my solo. And occasionally I'd pair with some people. I tried doing solo runs, tried doing rook runs, which is solo without any contracts. It's mostly just a character you use specifically to run in, and you basically invade a game that's already going on, and you basically just go around, get stuff that you may need, and then leave. And like that's it. So it's mostly if you start
Okay.
on equipment, you use Rook to go in as a kind of a not necessarily carefree, but low risk, high reward kind of situation. But Marathon, man, I tell you, this says I have 9.5 hours in the game right now.
Okay, you've definitely played a decent amount of it then.
I'm almost level 19.
Mm.
I'm playing enough of it. I think the end game stuff will happen later on this month. I think is what they're doing, and I guess I'll try to participate in that. But so I played a lot of Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders like took over for a multiplayer game, so I have kind of a direct comparison to it with Marathon, and I think Arc Raiders is the mainstream extraction shooter, and I think Marathon is going to be the more hardcore extraction shooter. It's not an easy game, and I think that's going to put people off. This is a game like Arc Raiders, you try to make friends with a lot of people. That does not happen in Marathon. When you see someone, it is immediate PvP. There is no attempt to like, hey, let's work together, guys. Arc Raiders, you can shout something that's like, hey, don't shoot, and a lot of times they'll be like, I'd say half the time. It really comes. It's like 50-50 in Arc Raiders. I've yet to see a person in Marathon not immediately go into, hey, this is like a PvP arena shooter immediately.
Yeah, that shit's on site.
And you know what? Part of it I think might be because the game, it feels kind of horror. It's got like this horror vibe to it almost. Maybe the look of it leans into it. The fact that it's a first-person shooter maybe leans into it. But it does feel very much like just a PvP game outright. And I actually like that more than the PvE stuff. It's funny when I come across people that we can engage and get in a fight with, I get kind of excited, and then because I'll talk to like Nate and others, and they're a little more tepid about it. They're unsure. I'm like, let's go. Let's get these people. I'm ready.
John's got that dog in him.
Well, that's how. I mean, that's just coming up with all the Halo and other things, and it's fun. It still has kind of that Destiny feel to it, but Destiny kind of at times had the Halo feel to it. You know? So Bungie they're very good at the shooting aspects, the mechanics and stuff they get there. I just, man, the menus, it feels very much like a PC game is the problem, and going through the menus isn't great. But yeah, it does have a steep learning curve, trying to figure out what elements you need, because everything get like equipment slots and the weapon types. There's a lot happening in it.
Channel level.
I think the people that it is able to grab and pull in, I think they're gonna stick with it. Not only because they spent $40, but I think it has a compelling gameplay loop. If you're, I guess I'd say good at it. I'm trying to think of it. The Arc Raiders, I will say this is it feels very forgiving compared to this one, because in Arc Raiders it was easier to get into a game, not encounter people if you don't necessarily want to, and then leave. Man, this game almost funnels you at each other, like face first. It's like, all right, go get them. So I like it.
That does seem to be the read, is that Arc Raiders is that mainstream sort of, I don't know if it's like that humorous per se, but it has a certain levity to it, whereas it seems like Marathon is this like very grounded story. As you're describing it, like you get in there and it's like it's on site, like it's very has a competitive nature to it, and so I could see how it's like carving out a certain, I don't want to say niche, because like the game actually debuted pretty strong, which is, I don't know if that's surprising per se, but it's like, you know, like the language tends to do with any of these live service games, and it's going to be like Concord or something. It's like 100,000 something.
Oh, it's
like,
definitely not Concord.
Yeah, for like a peak CCU, which that's always like kind of misleading, because that could be a much bigger number for like total players. But like for the peak CCU being 140,000, and then day one launch it's like 88,000 for the base game. Like, you know that like people paid for it, so they found an audience. Now it's more about like how they're going to maintain that, you know.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely going to come down to maintaining it. They seem to be doing a lot in terms of the meta and releasing content for whatever this end game thing is going to be, but it seems like it's settled just on Steam. Like each night, 60,000 current players that it usually ends up like peaking at. And I would assume if you then take Xbox, it's probably what's happening on Steam. So I'd say it's probably north of 100,000 current players since it's come out. That seems very sustainable for Bungie, and the fact that they've sold X amount of copies at $40, and there's microtransactions and things you can buy for cosmetics, and I still think they should have made Destiny 3, but it's, yeah, I mean, I think that was
Ay, cabrón, ¿cómo hago esto?
Destiny right now, but it has such like it has such a big fandom that's ready to come back to it, and something like that. Whereas Marathon's kind of starting from the ground up, because let's face it, no one played Marathon on the PC back in the day.
And it's effectively a new game. It's a case I make with like Hellbound. It's all intents and purposes. It's funny you mentioned the cosmetics. That was like a big story. You know that in-game currency Lux? That was like a thing where like you spend $10 and you get 1,100 on it.
Ahí está.
Cosmetics are like 11 20. How do you launch the game like that?
Apparently they had to play they had to fix this. I don't know. That's crashing things that happen. All I can
Oh.
It's really funny. I don't know. I guess.
Ok, ya estoy listo. Por fin. Tarde, pero seguro. Ya se fueron todos, ya se aburrieron, perdón.
But I see these skill trees eventually get to a really nice looking sniper, for example. It's like, oh well, I want to be able to buy that on demand, whereas before you'd have to, if you take somebody out and they have it on them, you can take it. That's the kind of stuff I'm
Ok. Comenzar partida nueva, sí, ¿por qué no? El mundo de las navecitas, chinguen a su madre, en serio, no saben qué inventar. O sea, ¿por qué a todo le tienen que poner una puta historia?
Me off about extraction. I did jump in a service land, but dude, I played like 30 minutes. I'm like, this is just it's not. I'm sure I could have like put more time into it, but I think that to me is just the turn off of like losing on the head there. So
There were
things stick with you, but you lose like the overwhelming majority of the shit. Right?
if you die in the game, you will. But you're talking about with this reset. Apparently, they're going to keep your ancient levels, to my understanding, which is what. Honestly, the bar takes a while to fill up. Anyway, so I'm like, oh, there's so many level up. So, but
Yeah,
everything else, they're going to reset.
Your gear, contract progression, faction progression, and player level will be reset. Earned cosmetics and purchases stay with you. Same with the codex. It's just it's not for me. It's definitely not for me. You made a good point too about like inventory management. That was like, I'm sure you'd get fast with it on a controller the more you play with it, but it seems very not as intuitive.
Yeah. Also, I like when I'm going through. So at one point, me and a team of 2 people that joined me, because I rolled the dice. They were pretty good too, and we end up killing like 8 or 9 people, like multiple teams. And every time we took one of them out, because when you do knock them down, you gotta go up and you gotta like stab them. And after we wiped like the second, I thought, man, those are 6 people who are probably really mad right now, and it makes me wonder how many people have the sense of getting back in versus. I think that's enough, you know, because it's you lose all your. One person I opened up their pack, so much of the stuff. I'm like, man, I can't even carry them. I just took them out just to take them out apparently.
Son, all right.
Yeah, let's kill a lot of people. It's I'm one of those probably annoying people on the servers.
Oh, so I'd hate you if I were.
I'm sure a lot of people hate me right now. Not that I'm killing everybody, but because sometimes you wander and you get out looking at a pack, and then somebody will start shooting me in the back. That happens. But I would say I definitely taken out a lot more people than I don't second guess. All right. When I see the opportunity, it's time to strike.
I shoot on sight.
Enseguida un secreto.
I'm telling you, some people hesitate, and it's over. Like as soon as they hesitate, it's done.
That's not like the playground for that, basically. All right, well, we can get into some fast news stories real quick. We have that TForce Plus Extra Premium March lineup, which was revealed recently on the 17th. Have a handful of games on Extra: Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, Sunflower Royal, Madden NFL 26, The Last Domestic 2, Metal Eden, The World Famous Return of Moira, Aspen Premium, yeah, Second Resurrection. One classic. This is like months now of a single classic.
I know, but now it's like
Months.
it's not a cheap service. That's the thing that differentiates it. Because I do have to think about. I will admit, sometimes I go, man, what's this premium service? I ask that sometimes because I see a game like that and go, it's not really something I'm interested in playing right now. I don't know what the trophy list looks like if you look at it and be like, oh, that's a good, like, 30 for 30 platinum thing. I'm not sure, but, I mean, especially when a premium game shows up and doesn't have the trophies. But, man, what's that, 6 classic games?
Subida de nivel, tío.
If you think about it too, like the overwhelming majority of the classics you can buy. If you want the classics, like you can just buy.
Right.
And then you buy the ones you want too, because I think it would be a bold assumption to think that you'd want to buy and play every one of them, unless you're a big fan of Disney's a big fan of Wall-E. So you probably wait for the handful of times you want. Like if you're not playing the classics, or streaming PS5 games, or playing the trials, what are you paying $160 a year?
Yeah, especially since extra's what, 110 or 115 or something.
Or if you want to stream PS3, which I don't know why.
Yeah, it's like 160 a year.
It's a tough value proposition.
They gotta work this out. I don't know. Are they scrounging that much? Is it a struggle? Wally and this package PS game back to back months.
No, I mean, the classic thing is definitely an issue of like what implicit's running on Twitter. Because the ones that are doing this is simply one, they're not a small team, so I don't want to like say, oh, I can't, you guys can't get more. They're not a big team by any stretch. But I would just suspect they just can't find that many partners. Like, if you think about all the games that come back nowadays, like it's almost always the publishers want to like just do it in-house. Right. They have like they just monetize it, put out a $20, $30 version. Why emulate it and put it for $10 on PSN instead of $12? It's like they very clearly made a long-term agreement with Disney.
Yeah.
They got all this fucking rules coming. Bandai Namco was like, okay, we can have some. Capcom was like, okay, we can have some. But I think it's just hard to find the partners.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because when this started up, this was always the section that I thought would be exciting. I'd be like, man, they're gonna PS1, PS2 games are gonna be dropping. Think about we were making lists of games, and I don't think we've hit on any of them so far. Oh, I'd say most. You know, and it's just like, come on, can we do a PSP and a PS1? Do that. Is that possible?
They used to.
I know. That's why it feels like there's a struggle. I don't know.
And extra, I think, is kind of like this. Blasphemous is Persona 5. $100 or whatever.
Ad notes, like, yeah, okay, I guess. I mean, the whole season's over. Okay. The draft
over,
maybe
yeah.
is coming up, so people will be like, oh, that's fun. I have it in the service now. I feel like this is a month people, other than, Persona 5. I feel like most people who want to play Persona 5 have played it, but you never know. I guess there's... Although, you know, it does make me think, Ryan. This is a good move. Persona 6 is coming up soon.
I'd love to think that's happening. I'd love to believe it. Is it happening?
I feel like this is a good move. That's going to be happening soon. You want to get people thinking about Persona.
Do you do that before you have anything substantial to show for Persona 4? What do they call it? Revival?
I guess you could, just because Persona 4 has been out multiple times as it is anyway. Right? Still release that. And most fans who are going to buy it are, I'd say, more hardcore. Would you be sad? Would you be like, man, I can't see that Persona 6 trailer until Persona 4 comes out?
Oh no, definitely. I want to see 6 for sure. You gotta think about it. 5 is a PS2.
Isn't that crazy? I think I have it on PS4 for some reason.
Hijo de puta, dámelo. ¿Cómo que me cobras? Estoy salvando a todos.
Speculated a lot about that, but the report came out after. So now we know that yes, they were fishing. So a lot came out. Just to summarize it, because actually Jason did the article. Jenny showed up on GameSpot talking a little bit. Yeah, so we learned that Bluepoint pitched Bloodborne before and after they were acquired. It was like always a financial thing. It always made sense. But just to give you like the timeline here, they did the God of War live service game after they were acquired and working on Igual. Apparently that game was based out of France.
Soy demasiado bueno, demasiado. Wow. Y eso fue demasiada suerte.
According to people familiar with the process. That's the big thing. That's what we learned. Is that Bloodborne definitely did happen. It was pitched. Some Viewpoint staff were under the assumption that this is a game that they would be. Yeah, here's the thing too. I'm glad that we finally have an answer about Bloodborne.
Yeah.
But like, I'm sure I've said it on my channel many times. We've said it here on Clip Art Review. I'm sure you might have even said it. But like, the company knows it works. It's got to be a FromSoft. It has to be a FromSoft. And the fact that Shuhei Yoshida even said his own personal speculation, which I don't know if he's like saying that just to like play it safe, passing it off as speculation, or if he's really believe. But you know, his running theory was they want to respect FromSoft as the creators of the property. Sony owns it; they can do whatever they want with it. But it's about the games business. This turned into a whole thing because basically with the Demon Souls movie, there's this idea that Miyazaki was not happy with the way Demon Souls played.
Right.
Which oddly enough, if you go back and look at like official language, the only official, which is PR stuff, the official language we have about Demon Souls is that Bluepoint and Sony did reach out to FromSoft and asked for the blessing on that particular, which they were allowed to do. They weren't involved in it, obviously. And Miyazaki is, I think, a really quite some excuse for his research record for himself. Oh yeah, this is good, this is good, more people can take care of it. But the murmuring going on is that he either wasn't happy with it, or there's actually a bit of cowering on that relationship. So it's a bit soft. Sony wants to protect the creative, not rights, but the creative belief that they might not want the game to be touched unless they choose it. That's what we know.
Yeah, maybe there's just a lot going on at FromSoft. I mean, they're working on the Dusk Bloods. There could be some other stuff that we don't know about. There could be multiple projects, and I assume there are. And maybe they really just, when it's time to do Bloodborne, they're looking for where their stars align and bring together the talent of the FromSoft to work on it. You might be right. Maybe they really want to just do it anyway after what they saw with which is unfortunate because I guess people will talk about the art style. The game itself was technically good, like in terms of technical aspect, like visually speaking, it's still one of the most impressive games on the PS5 launch title. So, in that regard, it's a good game. The art stuff's up for interpretation anyway. Still, though, it seems like if you want the game to be, from a technical side, good, you would use Bluepoint, and then you have FromSoft come in and maybe do some of the work more so than Demon Souls on the artistic vision, you could say. And look, I get it. Bloodborne does have that kind of an artistic interpretation to it that makes it Bloodborne. So if they were concerned that Bluepoint would, I mean, they kind of shined it up, maybe Demon Souls a little more than they wanted them to. Like it did. It looked a little too nice, I guess what people say. In terms of the look, everything looked almost perfect. Everything. Like you have a kind of a rustic effect to it in Demon Souls on the PS3. Although some of that I think is to cover up the limitations of that generation, which they even do anyway. But man, the real thing that's a shame is you have what I think is a big time seller in Bloodborne. FromSoft bigger than ever, especially post Elden Ring. The amount of copies, the amount of interest that this would generate would be pretty big. And especially for Sony right now, and we're going to talk about their exclusive stuff, man, they got to be looking at this like, come on, can we just figure this out? Because we're going to make it exclusive. That's just that, I mean, they own IP, so obviously we're going to do that. And this makes it,
Oi!
I guess it's not, it hasn't been in the cards for a while, because they said they've pitched it multiple times, right? So I assume maybe even that first time. Like,
Oye,
PS6,
¿estoy atorado?
Demon Souls, that was a good one.
Ah, no, está la cueva esta.
Yeah, we know for I want to say fact, but Jason's well sourced. So from what he's saying, it was pitched before and after the acquisition, multiple times. Like everyone thought this. I mean, I know it's like silly to like clown and joke about the whole Bloodborne thing, but like, dude, these people aren't stupid. They know it works. They know, like Sony knows this game will work. But it's like we just never knew what the missing puzzle piece was, and I think the only safe explanation was it's a FromSoft thing, despite Sony owning the IP. The weird thing is, or what really complicates matters, is like Bloodborne is like really stuck here because Sony knows it's a valuable property. they wouldn't want to like give it up. But FromSoft is also like a premier studio. You know, they can really kind of do whatever they want and agree to whatever projects they want. Like FromSoft games, or the Souls games in particular, are like a huge cultural icon ever since owning them. So why would they want to tie themselves up working on something they don't own anymore? And that was a big thing about them owning Memoria. So it's like, how does Bloodborne ever happen anymore? If they want to respect, like, they want to respect the creative aspect of it. Right. So how do you see Bloodborne happen if they just can say yes to anything they want?
You know what I wonder though is, okay, so this has been turned down, then we assume multiple times because they pitched it multiple times. Is it possible that that Sony and FromSoft, they are working on Bloodborne, but then FromSoft mostly, and that's kind of a need-to-know basis. Bluepoint doesn't need to know that. They're told you're not doing Bloodborne, basically. No reason it seems like was really given other than like, it was kind of speculative.
Que no.
Bluepoint doesn't need to know that much then, if that's the case, because it's just the thing that. I will say this, gives me at least mild hope for there being something done with Bloodborne in the future, is that they still have not done anything to patch the PlayStation 4 Bloodborne game to just raise the frame rate. People are just like, man, if this was 60, it'd be much better. If the resolution was just a bit higher, it'd be much better. That's all they really care about at this point. Because look, you play it on the PS5, it's actually compatible, it feels slow. It's locked at 30. Now, especially in a world where we have a lot of FPS games, just unlock the frame rate, if anything. We've seen that it can work. People have already modded the thing like crazy because go figure they want. People have gone through lengths of modding their PS5, like doing all this patchwork to the ISO file or whatever, so that it can work. And that's the only thing. That feels very much like a company. We're gonna do something eventually. We don't want to give them what they want yet. We want to give them what they want in the game we're gonna sell them or sell them again.
So the problem with the frame rate patch thing is that like the game was made on such an old network. Like that's like pre-PS4 Pro days. And my understanding has always been that if you want to bring those games up and like patch them again, like they have to get brought up to like the most modern, up-to-date dev kit, which means there's just a whole bureaucracy behind the scenes of like bringing the game up to code on that recent dev kit to then deploy a patch like that. And so you can't patch it on that kit anymore. You know, it's like pre-PS4 Pro days. Those kits and that build is ancient. So there's just a certain level of bureaucracy to like do an official patch versus the sort of very clear behind the scenes, you know, tampering you can do with the game files and then getting like running it on basically unsigned code at that point on
Also, look, we never thought we'd see Metal Gear Solid 4 actually already here. So don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. The Metal Gear Solid 4 people stuck with it, and they finally got it.
Well, I've seen people make the point. I think it's valid, which is like I don't think this ever happens unless Sony like agrees to sell it. I think Miyazaki actually would want to do it. But, like, why would FromSoft work on a property they don't own anymore when they kind of have this fuck it, we can do what we want attitude because they're hot shit. So it's like only like one more like half years basically Sony agreeing to sell it, which why would we do? Although that might have a stipulation in itself of like, okay, well, do that, but we still want to stay something or something. Yeah, they gave the Death Stranding IP back to Kojima after 5 years.
No, that is fair. They could do something
for 10 years.
Who owns the? Okay, so the Duskbloods, does FromSoft own that too?
I would assume, but I think that's just a standard publishing agreement.
Yeah.
So
if that's the case, then yeah, maybe that's what has to happen. Bloodborne has to go back to also kind of sale it or something. I mean, if that's what has to happen, I don't think Bloodborne fans care one way or the other. That's what has to happen.
It's just such a slam dunk. Bring that game. Previously, I would have said bring that game to PS5 and PC, and I would have just said I'm like
oh yeah. No, but it might be leveraged with Sony if they really want. They're gonna try to sell the PS6 now. I mean, that's where you go with that. You know what? Bloodborne is.
I mean, that's the thing. If they're willing to give Kojima a deal where like they sell the IP back after a certain amount of time, they might play ball. Like Sony does play ball. I think
They
it's
own
just
part of
turns out-
FromSoft anyway, don't they?
I mean, like, yeah, they have like a minority stake
Yeah.
in Kadokawa and FromSoft. Yeah, I mean, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can just get away with getting the studio to be.
No, but I'm saying they have like equity in them in terms of sure they buy some of the shares, but like they have a vested interest in the company doing well in the future going forward. So maybe that's something else that plays into the idea of, man, if we figure out Bloodborne, and maybe it comes down to us giving it up, but you know we have so many contracts or whatever legal stuff is written up that we still get like per se or whatever else on exclusive.
Qué buen juego,
And
Está buena la musiquita.
the rest of the Blue Point stuff, we did also learn to build up to the So after the Bloodborne thing was rejected and they had the Battlefield game canceled, the only named projects that Blue Point launched was an updated version of Shadow of the Colossus Remake. Sony turned that down.
Uy,
And then they were tempted
el primer puzzle.
new projects and other
Pero quiero regresar a donde estaba realmente.
They say new projects and other franchises. Schreier only names Tsushima. So there would have been a new Ghost game by Bluepoint. And here's another crucial point about the whole Bluepoint thing. He wrote that some of the other studios have been facing heavy financial pressure in recent years, and they were concerned about dedicating resources to someone else's project. Now that's very important because I've made this point about Bluepoint before, is that the weird thing about them is they don't have like leads. Like they don't have a game. You know, these are very crucial roles for like lead a project. So like with Demon Souls, you have Gavin Lewis. But like if they're gonna do something else, like they bring in other leads and other directors to do those like remaster or remake projects. So like with the God of War thing, I thought for a long time like, oh, they're actually supporting Santa Monica's next game or something. Or the Final Fantasy Live service, obviously that's crazy. But this creates an interesting conflict of interest in that maybe the amount of things Bluepoint was pitching, like there was a conflict with other internal studios of, you know, whether depending on who they were pitching to, the other teams were like, we don't want to give you a game director or something, and we don't want to have to assign a bunch of people to like oversee this project and lead it or something when that's their financial, you know, because the studios have their own like profit and loss, they have their own money, like they are still like their own organizations in a way. So that was an interesting point that I think a lot of people are like overlooking here. Is that Bluepoint is like a really tough spot. You know, I think you could argue some of these pitches are weird, but like some of these like they might in a way have been maybe hung out for a while.
Yeah, that's when I saw the Ghost one, I said, oh, really? Let me ask you this: would you have been disappointed if they were in the PlayStation Studios where you came up in all animation, that Bluepoint came up, and you'd be like, oh, here we go, okay, and then it's Ghost Tsushima spinoff?
Well,
I mean, I think there were a lot of people who were like, oh, what?
Well, here's the thing, though, right? Like, when they were first acquired, and they were so specific about the language, saying, like, we're going to not do remasters for remix anymore, we're not doing original content. They were saying original content. And for the longest time, they said original content. Then the Insomniac breach happened, and there was a slide saying that they were working on original content. Like, nowhere did they say it was, like, a new IP. So original content to me always meant, oh, you're working on an existing franchise, but maybe a new entry. So if the Tsushima thing was greenlit, that would have like totally fit the profile. Depending on what that looked like, I might have thought it was cool or not. But
I would have had to change so much about. I don't know. Like I'm already ready. I'm kind of getting ready for Sucker Punch to kind of move on from this franchise. Well, what else could they do?
yeah, like I just wrapped up Yote and like I loved it, but my immediate thought was I think you guys need to like do something. Not to say like I wouldn't like a third Ghost game, but I don't know, man. I sort of.
Different.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see them. Yeah, like they've been on this for a long time now, 10 years, basically, from the very first development of Tsushima to shipping Yote. You know, like it's sometimes I like to see these studios put things down and move on, and that's the PlayStation way, is that they do put things down and move on.
Uy,
Hey, Neo Tokyo move like way in the future or some crazy thing like for Ghost. All of a sudden we're thousands of years in the future. If it's that again, what we just saw, and they move forward 100 years again or something, a couple hundred years,
Bien.
that'll feel somewhat disappointing for him. I'm ready for Sucker Punch to move on and do something new. And if Blue Point had shown up with that, I'd be like, that's weird. Maybe it could have been good, but it would have felt kind of disappointing for the build-up. Remember we had the build-up for Blue Point? They were showing us the holiday cards. And we were like, oh, what's the sword? What does that mean? And then it's like, oh, wait, that means it's for some reason the Ghost Tsushima spin-off. That's not what people were guessing. That's not at all. When I saw the Shadow of the Colossus one, though, that one, I think it's cool because it sounds like they're going to do like honeymoon for also like the Shadow of the Colossus fan is all about that kind of stuff. But that one, when I read it, felt a little frustrating. Well, because it'd be quick. They would have turned it around fast and been like, look, we can do this.
Right, no, but like, that's a good point. The last thing I want to do is like play and move. They're the smaller company getting absorbed into a bigger organization. But like, surely there's probably a really weird
¿Y qué me das o qué?
things that maybe doesn't sound that good on paper. I'm not sure if that was really super viable because even Shadow of the Colossus, the original remake, that game didn't make a ton of money. I think it lost money, didn't it?
Yeah, I just don't think we know the exchange either between Sony and Bluepoint because I would have thought that Sony would have had an idea for them. Like, hey, here's 3 ideas. What do you think? And if Bluepoint just said no, no, and no, how about we do Shadow, Colossus, update? Are they really at an impasse? No, that's it. We're not. Because that's crazy. Yeah, the whole thing is just crazy. It's just ugly.
It is. I mean, I still don't agree. I think there's surely something that could have happened. Definitely a turnaround project just to get money back in the
I can't believe they couldn't even help another. I mean, they helped. They worked with Sony Santa Monica this whole time on Dracula. Helped. I don't know. Done anything to bring in money? I don't know.
Well, but that's like the cutthroat thing to say. Like they're in Austin. Like that labor is expensive.
Yeah.
Dude,
70 people. That's like 70 people. Doesn't come
Like
under.
I hate saying it though, but I'm like, I think you can see all day, every day why Sony's better. So they can outsource that shit to like to cheaper places. It's a terrible thing to say, but that's probably what went into the decision.
Here's a question for you, Ryan. At the end of that report, did you see what Ninja Dryer said?
I really don't.
Calls coming in.
Está muy...
Yeah, right, yep. Yeah, I wrote it down there. I would imagine that's not going to go anywhere.
You know, okay, so hold on. We saw this though with Tango. They got picked up by Crowd. We saw Toys for Bob. I think there was a for Toys for Bob the way that they got out of Microsoft. Yeah, somebody came in. I don't know. You think is there any possibility that something happens and then Bluepoint comes out the other side?
I don't know.
No.
I think what you if anything, if the team wants to, like Marcos Rush wants to do this, either Dalvin, some of the names at this point, if they want to, like take that leap of faith, they start a new company.
Okay.
I think that's maybe the best case scenario. I don't think humor selling it. No, that's just something they don't do. They've sold IP before. Very, very rarely they'll sell back an IP, but not something like the studio needs to sell.
It's interesting where it's calls. Like it's like you're talking about the trade deadline or something for restore. Like getting calls. Oh man, the first and the third.
Yeah. No, I think Bluepoint actually knows.
People were bringing up all kinds of companies to buy them from. Someone said Microsoft. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. People were just named. We never found out how much they bought.
No, I don't know. It's kind of disclosed. I don't think it was in the breach or something like that.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It would most likely end up.
Story that we missed again from the I mean, it's not much new information here. But about the single player games on PC. Online games and Marathon will still release on multiple platforms. Single player games like Yote, Saros, and we even talked about this on Reset Era just briefly, but pretty much really driving this point across home. Even Wolverine are not coming to PC. So these sources do caution that things can change in this unpredictable environment, but in recent weeks, PC plans for Yote and other internal games were scrapped. Games made by external partners published by PlayStation, that could be PS2, that could be Memoria, those are still coming to PC. But there's been some apparently internal conflict at PlayStation, expressing concern that PC releases are risking some damage to the PlayStation brand, and that could harm PS5 sales and possible successors as well.
This set off the internet. This did. Yeah. The report did. I mean, some of the mention did, but the report actually did. And people are just trying to figure out why. Like, there's so much just trying to figure out why this is happening. And I mean, it seems obvious to me why Sony is doing this. And I'll say the entire most likely. And if people go, well, it's not for Sony's. I don't think Sony's would come out and be like, "Hey, Wolverine's never going to PC or something." Like, it just won't go to PC. You know, it'll be like Gran Turismo, still PlayStation, never went to PC. It'll be like that situation. That one, by the way, writing cut on the wall there. Yeah, they were never fully comfortable going all in on the PC side. They're always like half in, half out. Like, hey, we're gonna do a year.
Anyway.
Think about it with Gran Turismo, but then it never happened. So they never fully committed. The only thing I would have liked is them run the experiment of what happens if one of our big single player games was on PC day one alongside the PS5 release, and it's a good port. The whole thing, there's no hang-ups, and it's an IP.
Yes, though.
What are those numbers?
Well, John, it's funny you mentioned, we did have a report from Newzoo, which is a research firm, and they released some data about the PS Studio games on PC and the staggered launches, trying to explain maybe what's going on here. They say, quote, Newzoo's data shows that PlayStation titles ported to PC after their console launch typically see PC account for around 13% of total players in the first 3 months across both releases. By comparison, when comparable AAA titles launch simultaneously on PC and console, PC contributes closer to 44% of players in the same period. What's notable is that, and this is still here, what's notable is that the pattern is not specific to Sony's first-party portfolio. We see almost no difference between first-party PlayStation titles, 12% PC share, and third-party PlayStation exclusives, 13%. Suggesting the outcome is primarily driven by the staggered release strategy rather than the franchise demand on PC. The key takeaway is that release timing has a significant impact on PC engagement. When a PC version arrives years after the console launch, much of the early lifecycle demand has already been captured on the platform.
That's interesting because then it's people aren't waiting for the games, they're just getting a PlayStation to play them.
I wouldn't even say that. Here's the thing. What confuses me is, like, we've had a lot of examples, and I think there's just so many, like historical data points to look at that says if a game is big and good enough, like, it does well with it. You know, I think no doubt, like, these games are impacted so they show up later on PC, because there is that, like, marketing side of it. There's just a lot of enthusiasm and stuff word of mouth. So yeah, like, if Spider-Man 2 drops on PC day one, I'm sure it's going to do better than what it did. I'm just not fully convinced that's, like, the number one problem, because, like, these games tend to have sales lights on PlayStation. Like, on the phone launch, they consistently climb, and that's how you get to, like, 5 million, then 10, then 11, 12. It takes a while for Sony to, like, give us sales milestones, but eventually they'll be like, oh yeah, the game sold like 15 million copies. Like, right. Jesus Christ, last time you talked about this game, it sold 3 million in 2 days or so.
Yeah,
you know, so
I don't know why they're so quiet about it sometimes. I feel like some of those milestones are really big to talk about. Yeah, you're right.
But it's interesting, right? So it's like, maybe there's definitely some issues with the game's going to debut, but it doesn't really explain that the games continue to, like, sell on PlayStation, and they're like dead on it. They struggle to do, like, the 500,000 to 1 million, and they just never seem to, like, climb after it, you know? it's weird. Like, you see, like, Forza Horizon go to PlayStation well after. And the game, well, sure enough, you send it to a big install, but this means, like, demand for it. So, I don't know. I'm not fully sold on this idea that that's, like, the main problem.
Well, I think, I mean, a lot of it also does hinge on Steam. And if you look at Steam, a lot of the most popular games, you know, they are these live services. I know Counter-Strike 2 is incredibly popular, but you look up and down the list, and Arc Raiders is massive. But I bet you if I go right now to Steam TV, yes, it's always Counter-Strike 2, it's always Dota 2. Slay the Spire 2 is blown up. Very, very popular in China. And that has done significant numbers for it. But even elsewhere in the world also popular. But for the most part, it's like Arc Raiders, PUBG, Rainbow Six Siege, Deadlock, Apex Legends. Get the idea. These are the games that are popular. That's why it's been held out really well. They give us a number for revenue. It's $2.5 billion. Yeah, 1.5.
Or 1.5% of total revenue.
Yeah, and how much of that do you think is held out?
I mean, these are numbers we went over the last episode.
Yeah.
You know, it's a pretty inconsequential number if you, like, consider the whole organization.
Right.
I'm still surprised. I'm still surprised.
No mames, esto va a ser imposible.
5-10% on a per game basis. I don't know if necessary is the right word.
Nah.
But, like, you think about a game like Sarah, and, like, that game's still going to be fairly niche to a degree. It's not going to do Spider-Man 2 numbers. You think, like, that game might need another, 100,000 units on PC. But, I mean, obviously, Sony just feels it's not worth the squeeze.
But also with Spider-Man 2, people were mentioning that the port wasn't very good on PC. And it seems like they might have a good port, and they have a bad port, they have a good port, and a bad port. So I do wonder about the bad ports and how much damage that can do for the brand on that side as well as PC, to where people go, we'll see how the PlayStation game ends up when it gets here. I'm sure there's multiple reasons as to why. What do you think about the people saying that the next Xbox, the Project Helix, but then also the Steam machine, if Sony moves down this path and gets to a day-and-date release, those could play the game limited.
Yeah, right. And it's totally a valid point that people are making about that machine. The thing is, if they're, like, that concerned about that, like, why not full send it, like, just Helix or ship that? You know, it's at that point it becomes a bit of an optics thing. Like, we can say right here before Helix comes out, and this is the safest prediction anybody can do, that Helix is going to come out, somebody's going to launch a PS video game, and it's going to go viral. Look at the Xbox. We're calling it that. Like, optically, yeah. I'm sure PlayStation is not going to be happy with that, and they won't be happy with the prospect of, like, their existing, if they keep doing these games, right, that those marquee titles will be playable on what was previously, like, a very close competitor. I'm not sure how much of that went into the decision making here, because one, that's already going to happen. They've already got these things. Even if they delist them, they can't discriminate hardware. Like, people still have, like, the game's left. So people have them in their library. The viral posts are going to happen when it happens. Optically, that sucks. But we have every indicator in the book that Helix is going to be a very different console. You know, like a low volume, expensive box. Like, so I just don't know how other things are really good. It's just got to be like a juice not worth the squeeze.
What do you also think about Nishino calling the shots now? Do you think the idea of putting a focus, a big primary focus on the console itself now, going into the 6th generation, because I assume these decisions are made with the idea of what are the next 5 years of development. But what do you think about the idea that Nishino now will be more like traditional Japanese community on this vision of PlayStation? Maybe making that call because of the idea of the focus on the console brand. As we've seen traditionally with PlayStation coming up with a 1, 2, 3, 4 for a while.
No, I think we got into that the last episode. I think it definitely is kind of a little short-term machine. You know, it's hard to make a appreciable difference on games that take like 7 years. But looking for to one of those short-term things that you can kind of pump the brakes on and see like a pretty fast change. I would think it's sort of the Machino thing. If anything, it's pretty surprising that Machino like has approval to do this, because with Hiroki Toki, formerly a finance guy, former CEO of the organization, now he's president and CEO, like he's a heavy numbers guy. And it's, you know, it's actually pretty somewhat surprising that he's also in complete agreement that, like, okay, like, we're fine to not chase, like, this extra 1% of revenue. He understands maybe there's a sort of qualitative analysis of maybe we shouldn't do this because it long-term could be a potentially grand damaging thing.
There's just, people are trying to figure out why this is happening. I think it's just, they want to sell the console. This is pretty straightforward. Sell the box. Exclusive. Which, by the way, you know, I've noticed, Ryan, maybe it's just because we're older, coming up
Ay,
with
cabrón.
exclusive selling systems, but there is an interesting pushback on exclusives now more than ever.
Well, I mean, the world's been very different. I think, like, we grew up playing games where exclusivity was, like, the most widely accepted known entity. And nowadays, you know, you boot up an Xbox game, it's got a PS Studios logo. You know, and you've got a PS Studios logo on Switch. I mean, all these things are, like, highly contingent on the existing deals and what happened. So you can explain away maybe why Sony experimented with a band by Namco, or why they do the Lego thing, or maybe their hands are tied with the MLB Association. And it is kind of a different environment now with, like, signing deals in general. Like, an older Sony would have, like, locked down, if they're doing a deal, basically they bought IP, and it's not going anywhere. Nowadays, Sony says, okay, we want time to call for exclusivity, and we own the IP. Dude, like, PS3, this is how Sony has so many IPs, is because, like, the PS2 for 3 days, certainly PlayStation 3, if they sign a game, they own the IP, and it's, like, it's ours. That shit ain't going anywhere.
Right.
They'll sign a can of British Spirits, and it's, you know, it's allowed to go here. We don't own it. And they'll do that with Stray, Chia, Bug Stacks, Silent Hill, all these marketing agreements and Final Fantasy, all that shit. Like, it's a different environment.
Maybe it's just because we had weird hardware back then too, and it was always interesting to see what a game focused on that cell process or motion.
Yeah, that stuff was always neat. That's what I liked about those. It was still fairly exotic and how it's processed, and you get a lot of really cool things.
Developers compared to now.
And PS2 is famously hit by a lot of stuff. Just because of that. PS3 missed. Well, that's the PC stuff. Or we'll just not have PC games.
Or you is that the worst news for you? You're not gonna play on your Mac.
I had no dog in the race. I mean, like, that's the thing. We always just, at least from my perspective, I like to talk about these things from the business point of view. I had no dog in the race. You know, it made sense to me. I'm still actually surprised that they're backing away from it, but considering the revenue was so small, like, if you're gonna go back on it, like, that also makes complete sense.
Let me grab some of these super chats and come in. Varang says, I'm trying to RNG a shiny Bulbasaur in Fire Red. Did you pick up Fire Red or Leaf Green, Ryan?
I don't really have time to play it.
And trying to hit 3 frame perfect button presses. It might do arbitrary coding instead. Norfair says, if you guys watch Digital Founders Deep Dive on PS5 Pro Crimson Desert, it looks fantastic for the most part. Also, GTA 4 Online News Prime, Brian.
How about we do the same time?
That game looks crazy. Like, I saw Digital Founders breakdown. It's still, I mean, I know it's the PS5 Pro they were showing off. I gotta see what that looks like.
I did, and this is a story you can cover real quick, but yeah, PS5 has a performance mode, 1080p, 60. Every mode has VSync, by the way. Ray tracing is up and low. Balance is upscale 4K resolution, 40 FPS.
El backtracking del corazón escondido. Por fin.
The Pro, which Digital Foundry put out the video today, the game does look insane. They only played on Pro, and the game actually, the build they have is only using PSSR Pro. So it does still have PSSR 1 artifacts, but Pro does says it's going to launch with PSSR. So it should have like that huge like Requiem style movement. And Pro has performance upscaled 4K, 60 FPS, balance is upscaled 4K, frequency 40, 40 FPS, the quality mode is 4K, 30 FPS,
Por un segundo se me olvidó disparar.
Game that comes out next week. Might have to record some of these PS5 footage. Drop it off. Like, upload it. Stupid see what this looks like. I don't know. It looks crazy.
Por un segundo. A ver.
Yeah, John's footage today, the game actually, it holds 60 pretty well.
Yeah, they had to go in some like really weird spots with a lot of NPCs and enemies to hit the frame rate like that.
Yeah, it was like high 30s, I think, is like the lowest he got it to in the scenes. But otherwise, that game was coming out next week, too.
Toasty says, put some respect on Wally for PS2. It's made by the devs who made Plague Tale and Bespoke came in with a 50 saying, I would love it if Sucker Punch could do that last Ronin TMNT game. This was announced like 5 years ago and we've heard nothing since.
Thank you, Bespoke. Really appreciate that. And that would be a good idea. I wouldn't mind that. I kind of like seeing TMNT is a fun franchise. We need like a competent studio to really take that IP to the next level.
Yeah, what did happen to that game? Because I feel like the studio got hit with. I feel like the studio got hit with.
It's vaporware. They haven't said anything about that in how long, haven't they?
I thought they got.
No, la tienen que poner paredes.
So hopefully that game is still rolling.
Honestly, I forgot it existed. As you read that, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
Toasty says, in the first Spawncast episode from 2017, John floated around the possibility of Horizon Zero Dawn on PC on Real Crime.
Did you really?
I didn't know that. I don't know. I didn't go back and look. That's funny. I did not know that. That's funny. Yeah, that was
See, John just throws shit at the wall to see what he sees.
Hey, sometimes that's how you gotta do it. That's how you gotta do it. Paul says Steam has conditioned PC gamers to wait for sale. The first game sold on the novel generally being released a year later will sell at $6,000. That's a good point too. The pricing did not help them when inflated.
That's fair. Like the pricing, bad ports, staggered release, it might just be like a sort of everything bad package kind of deal.
I still also think they weren't fully sold on the PC. Yeah, just the way that they moved with PC and like again the delayed releases, the conditions sometimes they show up in, picking and choosing when I feel like if they moved Gran Turismo over, that would have all of a sudden become one of the most successful games. But they just never really fully committed to it. I feel like and maybe it came down to we're either going all in on this thing, or stepping away from it. They said, let's step away. Says currently in Ecuador and visited some game stores. Used games basically don't exist anymore. New games cost $90 to $100. I found 4 Super Nintendo Classics with special edition PlayStation 5 controllers cost $150. Crazy.
It's always interesting seeing what the gaming scene is like in countries like that. There's used games aren't a thing there at all. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's bizarre, but I wouldn't have any idea what's going on. It's fascinating. I get to like a big supply of discs and shit like that.
This folks says that's right. You have a cat in the race.
I'm not sure if Melissa's too.
Check it out. Detective Seeds at the Big 100 says Shears Boy tried to give members, but did not find the options. Wanted to send over some support and have a great show. Sure, Detective Seeds coming in.
I appreciate it.
Wanting to get the report out there, and then Jason Schreier came in and backed him up. So
yeah, well, that's the thing. Like we gotta be fair. Like that report, I was even skeptical about it, but actually did have a lot of information line up. So
yeah.
Sometimes it happens, but hey, if you're listening, you gotta stop putting out so much shit unless you're like truly confident it's happening. Take my advice, dude. If you want to like clean up your reputation, be much better well sourced before you put out.
Well, we got that one. Schreier came in a few days later. Shout out to Detective Seeds. Appreciate it.
A la madre, ¿dónde estaba? Estos juegos siempre hacen estas mamadas de marearte.
That's a point to mention too. It's like, okay, well, I know people like were very upset with that first report. You know, it's like, if you go back, oh, no, you got some. Yeah. Some people, they get a little stir crazy about this.
Well, hey, there it is. Check to see he's got it. He got that one. Meringue says, I don't think Game Freak realizes or use glitches in Fire Red to get perfect timing check Pokemon. Do you think that's why home support is not included? They probably would. I'm sure they want to get rid of any of the user exploits and patches and stuff before they I'm sure. Although I think home support gets updated.
Okay.
Later. Probably because of that. I don't think
Well, wouldn't
Bien.
update home support to make like home would be the identifier, not the place. So as you try to import Pokemon, home would reject things.
Que sigue una navezota.
Oh, I didn't even ask you, Ryan, real quick. Did you get the Pokemon over there with the...
No, I didn't.
Oh, really? Wow.
Well, I mean, the first time they revealed that game, I'm like, this one's so good. What's going on here? But then it comes out, and I'm like, oh shit, this is like very well received. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I like games like that, no doubt. I'm sure I could probably spend a lot of time on it. Yeah, this game gets better free version like I said.
I'm like 20 something. Now it's so good.
Oh, you're never getting it back now.
Oh, there you go. Look, I can sign up before I will go on one person. We make it a point to get 3 or more for action. Ryan will get Copia and he'll disappear and I won't see him again.
PlayStation coverage again. I'll be playing your ditto ass game.
Dude, some of the funniest thing about that game is it's kind of crazy. That stuff is super depressing. Dude, I had to build a habitat for Kibo. You know what the habitat is?
Don't like get mothers or something. Come on.
The habitat, you gotta put 4 flower beds around a grave state.
Ah, gee whiz.
And all Kibo does in my area
Ok, eso estuvo muy cool. Eso no lo jugué en el demo.
by and he's like, I kind of want to toy, so I gave him some blocks. And just occasionally, he stares at the grave and he walks over and kicks the blocks out.
I've seen like screenshots shared here and there. I'm like, I can't believe this game is actually.
It's pretty fucking. Yeah. I mean, the whole game itself is crazy, you're right? But it's legitimately interesting. I'm still trying to figure out where all the humans are.
I don't think we should get them. Kind of sucks.
Some of them hate. Some of those Pokemon were like, man, I'm glad the humans are gone. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. One of them was like that, I'll say.
Oh God. Indoctrinating the children. Get rid of the humans.
That's funny.
Get those Optimus bots going.
Right?
We have another big story cover. We're covering up all the big ones here. This one is more recent, at least, so we can talk about this in a timely manner. Sony has been A/B testing pricing on the PlayStation Store. It's been noticed by some users that when you're not signed in, the game might be on sale. But then you sign into your PSN ID and the game goes up to full price. Well, recently we had a report from psprices.com, which tracks pricing data on PSN. They've confirmed that Sony has been running a large-scale A/B test on game prices. The discounts can be as high as 27.8%, and the experiment includes over 190 games in over 70 regions, including the U.S. This test has been running for 4 months, so since November 2025, which grew from 50 games in 30 regions, so we're really ramping this up now. And PS Prices spotted back-end language that specifically says IPT_pilots, which now includes SIE's own AAA games like God of War, Spider-Man, and others. So, I am seeing people call this dynamic pricing, just so we're like completely fair and transparent. Dynamic pricing isn't necessarily this. This is A/B testing, which means 2 specific price points, 2 pools of like buyers. Dynamic pricing is like a sort of supply and demand thing where it could go like above MSRP. Basically, you're either at full MSRP or you get a discount. Having said that, doesn't excuse anything. This fucking works.
But this is the situation with the digital side, because they can run these experiments a little harder in a retail store where you have multiple retailers to pick from for the physical game. I almost expected when you have a big company like this who is trying to entice new buyers to build their digital library, since that's how they inevitably lock you in. Is where do I have the most value and content on the digital side? But you're right. That is, it's not great when they go, we have a lot of market research on you, so we're going to decide which games are more expensive for you and which ones are cheaper. That's kind of it. Because think about going to a store and all of a sudden the prices change as you walk around with everything, and then they change again for the next person who walks around with the shelves. It's mildly predatory.
No, that's a great way that you put it. Like, you go to a store all the time, so they know. Oh, he's here all the time. He gets some deals. Or there's like new customer that shows up 1 or 2 times a year to get lesser prices to try and encourage the sales. I would think that's what they're doing, because they've got that telemetry to, like, it's got to be like highly engaged users.
Uy.
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
Uy.
Games all the time,
No!
we'll show them the price. But this person has like 3 digital games. They purchased 1 thing from us in the last 12 months. So we're gonna show them that same game for $7.
Well, up to 27.
27 for the show them for $750.
Although PS prices, they had an article that showed like what Assassin's Creed game was $10, but then if you like signed out, like it was like down to $3. I guess since the discounts are actually pretty steep.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like that. That's the digital future. Like personalized pricing. You heard of what dynamic pricing? Personalized pricing. Next step. And eventually it's all streaming.
Sony has been doing this for about 2 years. If you remember, talked about it at the same time. That was like more targeted like discounts. I think it was like either email or like just straight up on your account. They've definitely been attempting this for a while. This is the largest sort of testing. They're also like
Yeah, I don't.
maybe it's actually been like running rampant on
¿Qué pedo con la música?
sort of in-game currency different prices.
People said it happens a lot of grocery stores too, and I get most of the same stuff at the grocery store. And I will tell you, man, everybody goes to the grocery store. And it's kind of weird for me because I get the same stuff. People always go, prices have changed quite a bit. Like I'll do you do the orders online for like Walmart or whatever, and you pick them up. I've tried that a couple of times. Pricing's always different. At least for me, it is when I'm signed in or whatever. Pricing is the same.
Oh no, of course not.
I know I'm there for the store. Buy the eggs and stuff. They're charging me so much.
In a somewhat related story, there's another class action against Sony in the UK. £2 billion class action filed by consumer Alex Neal. So Sony is being accused of holding a walled garden on their digital products because consumers cannot buy digital games from third-party stores. Sony defending their digital product that third-party stores pose a security risk, and also they use their software sales to subsidize consoles. They're explaining like, oh, that's how our model works. So the legal team estimates that 12 million users could be eligible for £163 each unless they manually automatically. Does this sound familiar? Because they've been sued for this before.
You know, I can look at this and wonder because Apple and Google went through lawsuits that were similar to the walled garden verbiage, where they were being discussed as, man, they literally block everyone off from having their own. Hey, payment processing, the store, and a lot of that's because you have two phone OSs that you really pick from. It's like you either go Android or you go Apple, right? You know, I do wonder about Sony's this thing where they fly a little bit close to the sun, because you used to be able to buy game cards in stores, right? And that was fine because you could find them sometimes because you would go on some third-party site, they would sell your card, however they got it or whatever, but the gray market, they'd sell it cheaper. So there was an option. But now you just buy the currency cards, and then everything goes through Sony. And you know what? It's fun. It almost is needed for Sony to keep physical games around, because I actually think there's an argument to be made that there is kind of like a, I mean, the walled garden, sure, but it's not necessarily not the wall. There are Microsoft, Nintendo, and stuff, but there is no other option for consumers to buy games other than what Sony price.
Well, I think that's got to be it, because they stopped offering the game cards at retail like I think 2019 or something.
Yeah,
It's been a long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And if they still had those, like I don't think like a class action would really work against them, because that was the whole point, is that you technically had different options. But I mean, I don't want the old man shouting at the lawn here, but that's why I vouch for physical media. You're not beholden to a single store.
Okay, so I feel like Fortnite for Apple, I feel like they won their case, didn't they?
Well, I don't remember the exact details, but I mean, the thing about these companies is that they do have like some ground to stand on, because, well, at least for the PlayStation space, they can say we subsidize. Like our main product we subsidize, like that's our model, and then they can also argue if it's industry standard based on like how the stores operate. Like, so whether, but the thing too, John, like even if they lose, I mean, I don't know, it's a class action. Who's really getting paid? Like
No, but I'm saying with Fortnite, they ended up, yeah, so Epic did win. I thought it was something like that, because I think with Google as well, there was a whole thing going on in the decision there. The point is, eventually, if a company like Epic tests it with Sony and says, we don't want to use the payment processor, we're going to go around you, and they kind of tried to still, so one of the kids wanted to get like $50 or something for their PlayStation. And they were like, I'm going to go to the store and buy it. Well, you go to the store, get the card, you got to go on the Epic's website, then do the code there with your account, and they spit back a PlayStation code to you. So there is already kind of some funny business going on with that. But if there is a point where they go, we don't want to use your payment processing because you take 30%, like they did that with Apple, where they were trying to redirect people to a web browser, and Apple didn't like that, and they pulled Fortnite off of there. And then they took it to trial, and they won because the walled garden thing doesn't hold up with that argument. I don't know, man. Sony might want to reconsider how they're approaching, because it could get to a point where they did lose, and it got to the position where they had to rent other stores.
I think that'd be amazing, but I think in PlayStation, they can say that we subsidize their products, which Apple certainly doesn't. You know, like that's the issue. Like, it's still dependent on the exact circumstance. But the Apple thing, yeah, like, because with Pokemon Go, you can buy coins off the Niantic site directly, and you get bonus coins because you're deliberately skipping Apple's. And in fact, that's like a pretty commonplace thing. Anything that you buy through Apple, like a lot of companies just like offer a discount if you do it through their processor.
Yeah, so that's going to be the thing. People already are annoyed with Epic and Fortnite. Right? So, you know, people are looking for
Putas baterías de qué sirven.
But the point is, it comes back to the idea of the walled garden approach and how much that stands on. I guess. Well, here's the thing. I think they.
Tengo más turbo. ¿De eso sirven?
But I guess it comes down to can that end up becoming precedent and rolling along to other cases? Snowballs. It seems strange that Sony was like, nah, we're not selling this. It starts to set something like this off. I don't know. hear about Microsoft and their next system trying to have no idea if that's going to even work. And it'd be weird if PlayStation found themselves in a position where they had to let their storefront on, because then they can't subsidize the system anymore.
No, they would. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I'm not sure what Sony. I think they'd be able to sort of argue around it. But in the case of the card thing, like, I don't know, they pay it and then move on. There has to be like a landmark case for them to change. But class action is just that.
Somebody from within would have to do it, like the Fortnite versus Apple, like Epic versus Apple, something like that.
So this is just going to be Sony pays a big fee, they can do that, lawyers get paid, and then people hopefully will get some sort of check, but it's almost always so small and not even
It's not worth the postage usually.
And this says people are eligible for 162 pounds each. That's a decent chunk of change, but I don't know. Right? It's like nothing changed there. Oh, okay. They still only got 4 years.
Yeah, those made up for that.
Yeah. We've got a bunch of smaller stores we can also PlayStation Lego set.
That's all it's done.
Prominent Lego leader, Lego underscore Minecraft underscore jokes. We will be able to product name and designator for a PS1 Lego set. It's product 72306. That's a PS1. Controller and console.
Classic.
1,911 pieces for $160 USD. Coming out. That's a great gift for the kids.
Here's the question. So let's say I do get this, okay?
Okay.
The kids build it and stuff. It's probably an 18 plus one, so I'm not help them build it. Okay. Sometimes they have little Easter eggs in these things, alright? I have the Game Boy, okay, and they have cartridges. And they're classic cartridges, like Zelda, Mario. Makes sense. What's the PS1 game?
Well, they have to.
I was gonna say, I immediately I was like, Crash Bandicoot. No.
No.
Like Gran Turismo is like, it's kind of funny that we think about the ones we think about the PS1 generation, like for Salt Bones now. Gran Turismo would probably be the one, but cool thing to keep on this one.
Blasting.
Oh no, games. No, because you
Blasting.
can't work with that, 'cause you're not gonna have to do what the control.
Blasting. Yeah.
He's right, yeah. Something flash is correct.
What if they give you like multiple? They give you like 3 discs or something. So you can put like here's a few options.
Okay, what do you got?
Well, like maybe forever or something, but it would be accompanied by like a Gran Turismo. And then possibly a Blasting. Or Disruptor. Or games that obviously would not show up on here. Motor Tune Grand Prix.
I'm going with the classic GOAT, the original disc one from Pizza Hut, that coming on Pro Skater. I hate the skate one. And drop that in.
Demo disc.
There it is.
They can get really close.
Just has the PlayStation logo, something like games.
Oh, that's boring. Come on. You gotta be something.
¡Woohoo! Y esto es... ¡Ay! ¡Qué buen shortcut de tipo Souls,
They can't do Metal Gear Solid. It probably is now.
Well, there's that. Alright. Oh yeah, Legends is available now. The game, Ghost of Yote also got a power saving mode. Shout out there.
Good. I can save on the electric bill.
Save on that electric bill.
Ooh. Definitely not for a handheld coming up in the future.
Speaking of Yote, there was a really cool thing that we learned from GDC. Recent talk from Sucker Punch's Nate Fox and Jason Canal. They revealed during production of that game.
La brújula de Zelda.
Fighting mechanic very similar to Breath of the Wild. When Nate Fox was playing those games, really loved it. Said, you know what? Every game should have this. This seems amazing. They started prototyping it, and then they figured out, oh, that's not really the game we're making.
Well,
Siento que ya con la brújula, buena compra. Y siento que con la brújula ya debo de ir.
Yeah, well, you know, like Breath of the Wild is always such a funny game to me because, like, it's highly successful and people love it dearly, but because of that, then comes this other issue of like, well, now it's just so popular and people put it on this pedestal. So now, like, oh, every game should be like that. It's like, well, you kind of have to design around that. And Yote is still like very deliberate with like it's an open world game, but you know, it still silos players very specifically into like a squeeze sequence or like a wraparound cliffside, and so I mean, you can't just let people. You really have to like build around it, you know.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Breath of the Wild is kind of its classic. There's a lot of talent.
¿Y eso qué? ¿Eso qué?
And like the physics and everything else, it's not a game that gets replicated.
We have Ballistic Moon shut down officially. Now, the brief recap here: Ballistic Moon is the UK-based studio that spun up from former Supermassive staff that worked on Until Dawn originally, 2015 for PlayStation 4, and they remade the game. And then the game comes out, wasn't a great version of the game, had some issues on PS5 and PC, came out game date on PC, but they were only able to do like 1 or 2 patches. I think they had very little runway to like keep
Yeah, that's right.
because Sony, I mean, they did publish it. It's a PlayStation Studios game. It's their IP, but it was a new studio, and then they immediately had some heavy layoffs, and they're dissolved. It dissolved as of February 2026. Apparently, the UK studio had a final Gazette notice. Can't say I was shocked, but what a weird scenario. Because I feel like when that studio got spun up, it was kind of like a lot of upside, you know? When you have a new team formed like that, it's the talent that got to work on the original IP. PlayStation always cares about the talent, not necessarily acquiring studios for IP. It's like, you could have fostered that into something, and oddly enough, it's like, we're gone, Port did bad, and the Fire's
Ah, es una carrera.
situation all around.
Never liked that. Never had a good
Didn't like
Didn't like it. So it's gonna save PlayStation 1. Scrap that thing at whiteboard. I don't white thing to write on the whiteboard.
It made sense though too. Like just to get them off the ground, you know, it's a new team.
Yeah. I guess for a new team, sure, but I don't know. Was anyone like legitimately excited when they said they're doing a remake for it?
Probably not, but like, you know, game goes to PC.
Somewhat excited. I don't know. Something excited.
Well, I mean, there was the movie too. You know, like the movie.
The movie was weird. People say the movie was weird.
It was weird. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a weird movie. I don't even think it was bad necessarily, but it just. I don't know.
I still haven't seen it. People were telling me it's like, you know, it's around on a streaming service.
The problem with the movie, and I'm like slightly spoiling the whole concept, but the problem with the movie is that like, when the kids die, they come back. So the spirit of the game is in there, but when they come back, like a different thing is trying to kill them. There's like all sorts of different things killing them. And so I think it would have been cool if you did the whole restarting thing, but if the game's key villain is still in the game. They put like a shitload of villains in it. Clear movie. That's what I would do. That's why I'm not directing it. We do have some next-gen things we can mention. Obviously, there's a lot going on here as far as discussion is concerned. Well, very recently, Kepler L2 on NeoGAF, one of the few that's been pretty to the AMD roadmap. They were chiming in on a recent forum post that both consoles are still on track for holiday 2027. Somebody asked about the PS handheld. Kepler said the same thing. Still on track, despite the
Ahora sí, perro.
reports we've had so far, which were Bloomberg, Insider Gaming, and I think that one research firm from David Gibson, all pretty much saying the delay is considered likely in that case. We've also got people like Tom from Moore's Law is Dead, Kepler on 2, they're saying things are coming. The other thing that we can't ignore here is that we have what was previously Sony's biggest competitor, a confirmed Project Helix, that's the code name, full sending it, it's going to lead into performance, playing PC and Xbox console games, and they just had a GDC talk about it, and they said, well, it's
Manos te faltan.
I don't know about you, but I mean, based on when the PS5 is going out, I didn't say when in 2027, just alpha versions are going out.
¿Y ahora?
Is it Xbox?
Desciendente del Qatar, encontrarás uno de mis espíritus, revuelve el lugar seguro y se abrirá su torre secreta.
So I don't even think that's really like a bad thing to hear about necessarily. At least on the PlayStation side of things, I believe first party either has them already, has them now, or they're going to get them very soon. And then third party would probably be sometime later. They might not even need a big runway for games because there's going to be that cross-gen period where it's just a frame rate resolution thing.
I think we're looking at a pretty big holiday 27. I think we're getting the new Xbox. I think we're getting the PlayStation. I think we're getting the PlayStation handheld all at once. Just a big shotgun blast of tech.
But we didn't know where the handheld was going. I think Tom was inferring that it might not be that far behind. I don't know if you announced and launched both of them like that. That's a lot.
I don't know. Maybe that's their second SKU. It's like we got the console, we got the handheld. Pick. Each one's $700. Have fun.
It could be very similar to the first PS5 reveal where you get that crazy animation.
Trabé el puto juego, ¿en serio? Puse pausa y el otro pausa al mismo tiempo. Ah, ok. No te vale, güey. Juego pedorro y te trabas poniendo pausa 2 veces. No tienes derecho a hacer eso.
For the PS5, right? Where we got the digital. That's right.
Félix Ontivero acaba de ver el...
If you're going to treat it as the same generation, you may as well launch it. Yeah, I think so. Well, I mean, it's two systems, but it's also catering to you get the handheld market, then you have the system. It's not the handheld, even though it would dock apparently. It's put out there. It's not going to be out there on the PS6. It's full 160 watts from the wall and ready to go. But there are many people, I'm sure, who are interested in that handheld and don't mind if it doesn't play as well as the PS6 when it's docked. I will say, I think right now, all things considered, I am more interested in the handheld just because I want to see what Sony pulls off.
I am too. The handheld does sound very appealing. Extremely appealing. Because as much as I enjoy my Portal, it still pisses me off to no end when I have those games. And I'm very happy.
Or if like it slips some connections for a second and you can see it like get real low resolution. It's like buffering on YouTube. It happens now and then. It's but I also think the Portal could just be better with the upgraded wireless chip itself. And maybe that's what we get for Holiday 26. They do the OLED Portal, and then the following holiday we get the launch.
Ahí está.
And then the OLED Portal can play games streaming for the PS6.
My issue with the Portal is how do you not have some sort of like proprietary protocol for like in-home use that makes it more like it still
Maybe the
has to
PS6
be
will have that.
but like it still has to be over.
Ok, necesito un misil o algo ahí.
You would like the Wii U setup, where like if you're within proximity of it, like you're in the same room or something, and you don't want to play on TV.
It should, dude. It's like it's the exact same connection from like there's nothing like you're buying a specific remote play device, and there's nothing specific about how it does remote play. At times it's embarrassing when like the third party app PX Play, they just put out a big update, and that yeah, like before you could have always controlled the bit, you still can't do that. Now it's got 4K upscaling, 2K upscaling, like it's just I like the Portal, but like we also have to recognize it's kind of a very half-assed way to do the most.
Well, I mean, I think when they also designed it, they were kind of as fun little.